You guys, I just had the stupidest fight of my life with the storage on my phone. I don't understand. Anyways, hi.
Welcome back to the Miniature Mic Monologue.
Uh, sorry, I'm trying to adjust the lighting properly because that took so long, me figuring out the storage thing, that the sun went down. The sun went down. Guys, I really haven't felt like I am so used to feeling in a really long time. Like, I don't really feel like myself. And sometimes I get glimpses of like who I'm so used to being. And it's cool, it's fun, it's whatever. But then I get back to this and I'm like, it's really not who I am anymore. And I think a lot of it has to do with this concept, like the title of today's episode, just talking about desire. Let me leave my Valley Girl voice in the Valley where I've never been, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's just awkward. Like, I saw this video of a child, or was it a post of someone that I know about, like, them being a child, something like that. And then later I got up and looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, whoa, I was once that, but I'll never be that again. Like, I'll never be a kid. And I was like, I don't know. That's really not related, but it really got to me because I was just like, from 18 on, I will forever and always, like, be an adult. I don't know. It's weird. Like, the way that I physically saw their small child face and then thought about how I used to look like that. Like, I used to be a small child. Solma. Okay. Anyways, so desire. Yeah, I've always been someone with really strong desires, convictions, and visions, like, in general. This is an ongoing theme of our conversations recently. And I feel like God is really resetting my desire right now because I don't really have a feeler right now in any area of my life where I can pinpoint any kind of desire. And I'm not saying that that's the reason I think God is resetting my desire alone. I also think that because almost everything that I have wanted or desired for myself this year has either been flat out denied, it's been delayed, or it's been deferred. And that is as painful as it has been aggravating living the last 6 months. But the interesting thing about it, I was just thinking of this today, just the juxtaposition of the ongoing experience of, like, delay, deferral, or denial is something that I've really never had, at least not for a long stretch of time, where it seems highly concentrated, like, oh, this is all that my life has been this year. Like, let's say that, because I would say that. But I was just thinking about today the juxtaposition of desire and need. And I think that desire is not a need, but desire does represent a need. Does that make sense? Which is why it is nonsensical to live a life that doesn't acknowledge and or fulfill some desires. Like, some are necessary. It's kind of like that. What is that concept of, like, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Those include some things, to me, if I'm not mistaken, that are, like, commonly, at least I feel like in my experience with people are like, that's just a desire. Like, that's not a necessity because it's like a feeling, or it's a, I don't know, something non-practical, but it's like practicality is different for each individual. Practicality might mean food, clothes, shelter for someone, but for somebody else, practicality might mean emotional safety, self-awareness, and someone that they can rely on. Does that make sense? Like, and those are just two examples that are kind of on the opposite spectrum, but wait, I'm looking at it now. Okay, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-actualization, esteem, love, belonging, safety, and psychological. Okay, this is just a little image, but this got talked about a lot more as I got older. And I think that the thing that's at the top, which is self-actualization, is something for me that has never, like, I've never had to want for that. Does that make sense? Like, I was either working towards that or living in what I worked towards. And that is like not an option for me right now because of the delaying, the deferral, or the denial, right? And today I finally accepted something that has been getting delayed, deferred, denied, all of the above for the longest time. It is so intimately annoying. Like, I don't think you understand how deeply this bothers me. I don't. But then I was really upset about it yesterday, and I subscribed to this prophetic devotional, and the prophetic devotional today was literally, what did it say? It's not a secret. I think I've talked about it on here before. Bill and Marsha Burns. Where is it? It literally said, I see your heart and I know that you're feeling a little disoriented. World conditions and the tragedy of man's inhumanity to man is disconcerting, to say the least. But you must find your place of peace and safety in me, says the Lord. Your strength comes from your relationship with me as you walk in spiritual reality. Make a difference where you can by extending kindness to others. I was so annoyed when I read that. Why? Because people aren't doing that to me right now. Like, oh, like, just hello? And like, when I say people, I mean people that aren't Kareem Michelle Copeland, all right? Or Leroy, or Rika, or Anajay. None of my family members, okay? Literally none of them. The problem is, I'm out here by myself, away from all of those people that I just mentioned, by my choice, right? But it's like, why are you saying this to me? Why are you saying this to me? As if okay, does it make me feel seen? Yes, but being seen pisses me off because it doesn't resolve that. It's these people are still getting to do what they want to do to me and to others. Like, I know it's not just happening to me, but it's like, well, I can't be them. So it's like, why is it that I need to do something about their bad doing? I don't like that. Anyways, I know that's not directly what he's saying, but that's how I feel. So moving on. The point is, the desire, like, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is like just a point that I think sticks out in my brain because it was the first time that I had heard in an academic setting that needs that weren't societally established as like the most important needs, like food, money, clothes, shelter, or even sometimes like education, status, and like wealth. It was the first time I had heard somebody say that those needs that you have that aren't those, are also needs that matter and should be actually prioritized the most. Does that make sense? But obviously the hierarchy is like you have to kind of climb up to get there. We're not getting into that. What we are getting into is that I feel in many ways, and it also relates directly to my relationship with God, because I saw this clip from the Perry's podcast where she was talking about when you feel like you don't have a desire for God, like kind of battling with like this kind of sloth apathy thing, you should go tell God that. And I was like, sometimes, like, after I sat with that for a while, I'm like, does this thing work? Like, sometimes things are so obvious that I'm like, how How were we not seeing that? Like, and it's fine. I'm not upset, but sometimes I just like, I'm reminded that I am shoot when somebody says something like that. But I know everybody has those kinds of moments. But I was like, but like, why doesn't it occur to us naturally sometimes to take the thing that we're upset about or the thing that we're lacking to the person that we feel like we're lacking it from? Because that happens a lot. Like, we'll go somewhere else instead of going to the source. Anyways, not the point. The point is, all of my desires are just kind of obsolete right now. Like, I find myself not want to do anything or not knowing what I want to do. Maybe because God is like, I'm trying to give you my desires for you, period. King, literally do whatever you want, right? But it's also very disorienting and disconcerting because my feelings are involved, and I'm questioning like whether God cares about how I feel because he keeps allowing things to happen that make me feel a way that I don't like. And I know that he's not doing them, so I've gotten better because that keeps happening at not attributing people's free will to God's character. Does that make sense? But it doesn't make this circumstance any less disconcerting personally or interpersonally. Like, it just makes it the same amount of discombobulated. I'm discombobulated, you know? And I honestly, like, I get a little bit of relief being able to vocalize what I'm experiencing right now because I'm just like nothing appears to be happening um, in a direction that I would like or just at all. And I don't know when that time period is going to end. So it's almost like I have this small form of PTSD because this is going to sound kind of bratty, but it's just the truth, and I'm not sorry that my people love me. Okay, I'm not used. I mean, like, spiritually, it's very um disorienting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to do, how to do it, where to do it, whatever. But as a person, it's also like I am. I've had this conversation before. I'm very used to getting what I like. Okay. And this isn't all about that, which is why I hesitated to even say that in the first place, because I am not a child. I know how to move on and go forward when something doesn't go my way. Like, it's genuinely, I would say, probably one of my best skills. Like, I have a pretty uncanny ability to remain unbothered because I've learned not to predicate whether or not I am content on whether all these things that are happening around me or related to me go my way. Uh, However, this set of circumstances that has been going on over the last 6 months have made me see everything differently. Like, it's just a whole new world, a whole new reality. Therefore, my ability to remain unbothered is now being upgraded, reprogrammed. I have genuinely no clue. And I am not the biggest fan of that because I believe that, like, this takes me back to the scripture where it's like, submit yourselves unto the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And the first time take delight in the Lord. Delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. Everyone always framed that as like, give your obedience basically to God and he'll give you what you want. And then one time I heard a pastor frame it like, maybe you're giving your obedience to God so that he can have priority over your heart and then give your heart the correct desires. And I was like, that sounds more like Jesus. Not because God doesn't want to give us the things that we want, because, well, if we're submitted to him and taking delight in him as priority, most of the things that we want probably don't combat with what God wants, or they're not on the same plane. And what I mean by that is like they can be smaller things that God will allow you to be able to take part in or enjoy because it doesn't add or subtract from you doing what he has for you to do. Does that make sense? But when it comes to him doing what he has for you to do, there seems to be this kind of unearthing process of the kind of thought or desire or God that we hang out with in our minds, that we interact with while pursuing or trying to have relationship with him, that is necessary and unavoidable. It's like the please take this cup from me from crucifixion, obviously not on the same physical or spiritual level ever, but I do think that there are going to be very many parallels from the things that Jesus experienced in our life if you are genuinely trying to walk in his image and like be created in his image. All that being said, I think I'm just generally a very zestful person. Like I'm very passionate, okay? I like to do what I like to do when I like to do it, and then I want to stop or I want to move on or I want to do whatever. And I don't think I've ever like rooted myself in that identity wise because, well, number one, I've never really been somewhere where that kind of vulnerability has been safe to share. Excuse me. Like there's probably only one person who knows what I'm like for real. That's not my people, like my family, because I just can't go around giving that out. Like it's me being myself has led to a lot more attacks than acceptance. And so I've learned where to open up completely and where to just acknowledge and, keep moving, right? It's not to say I am inauthentic because I actually don't think I genuinely could do that. Like we know I'm the kid that told on herself. So it's like I can't go around not telling the truth because it's just not who I am, and it's also not what God asks of me. So then there's just like a whole lot of nothing if I'm sussing out that this is not the correct. I don't have a desire to be here because my desire to be me is greater for long term, right? You know what I'm saying? And so not having this kind of guiding character trait, I guess, or I don't even know how to say it. Like it's so integral and innate to who I am that it's not just like something I can say is this is part of what I do, or like this is part of how I've lived. And like I'm like, no, this is what I know God gave me that makes me me, that is like part of how I live and part of my gifting that will not be removed. Like I don't know how to explain that. Like it's something that I understand, and people who know me personally definitely understand, but to try to convey it without you meeting me or like knowing me in any capacity greater than, an introduction or I'm a friend of a friend or something like that, it it just sounds weird. To me, it sounds weird explaining, but having this constant like delay, deferral, or denial has just made me like done. Like I'm just done. You know what I'm saying? And I don't love that. I don't love it, but it's where I am. Does that make sense? And my ultimate desire is to please the Lord and to do what He would have me do, in that order. And so maybe I'm doing something knowingly or unknowingly or somewhere in between that wasn't pleasing to Him or that wasn't what He would have me do. And so I am doing my best to not be my metacognitive self, which honestly doesn't exist. Like, if I exist, there is always a metacognitive side of me, but I've learned to tame her. Sometimes I yell at her in my brain. Like, this is why I don't understand. Well, I guess I do understand, because since most people don't have metacognition, now I understand why you think it's weird that people talk to themselves. But if you do, like, I think like that is why we are divided, because there are not multiple dialogues going on in your head. There's not several different strands of reasoning, feeling, rationalization. Like, it's not happening in the brain. I do not feel for you. Like, why is that hashtag not happening? That is the most human thing ever. No? Right. See, like, you guys get the desire. Like, it gets conveyed a lot of times when I'm talking about things that I spent a lot of time thinking about, because I'm very zealous in the things that I am interested in, you know? And so to be the opposite of zeal right now is getting nauseating. It really is. And I desire to not do it, but I desire to not have wrath of God, you know? And it might not sound like it makes sense, but it does to me. Okay? Not every conversation that I have in my brain is going to be had out loud, queen. No. I really wonder what it's like for people who don't. Like, how do you live like that if you can't process things from different perspectives? Like, there's only one. How do you do that? How do you do that? I would go crazy. I would go crazy. And someone who's probably like that is watching me thinking, you are crazy. Say whatever you want. I know that this is normal. You feel me? Like, it is not normal that you can't see yourself from a different perspective. Does that make sense? I'm getting so distracted because I really don't have that much more to say. Like, the desire thing is deep. It's really, really deep, but it's not that deep. And I want to have that desire back in whatever form that it's needed and is most authentic, but I want it back in whatever form that is most God led. And I know it's not like He's taking it away, or like He doesn't want me to have things that I want. Does that make sense? Because that would be evil, and He's not that. His plans are to prosper us, not to harm us, to give us a hope and a future. Like, I'm really just blabbing. Like, today was just like a big blab, because it's the same every week, every day, and not the same that I am accustomed to, prepared for, or worked for. Not, like, it's just, I'm getting sick and tired of the lack of desire. Like everything is like obsolete right now, and I am like, I want to be obsolete from the obsoleteness that is whatever. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I gotta say. I don't know. I should probably get on with my therapist about this, but sometimes it's so much more work to explain what I've been doing, where I've been, because like I be ghosting her sometimes, and not because like I'm scared to go back or anything like that. Absolutely not. It's just like I don't want to repeat all of this again. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I need my therapist to be with me when the things are happening while they're happening. Does that make sense? Like I don't like I process it and I move on, and then it's like I should tell my therapist about this, and it's like mother f. I don't want. Why weren't you there? Why weren't you there so that you could just know? Like, I just need you to know. And so then maybe when I randomly am like, so I felt this today about this and this and this and this and this that happened 2 months ago, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, oh, I just had this feeling. And then she's like, that makes sense, blah, 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 blah. I don't like the explain part. I don't. Like I need a therapist camera on me at all times so she can always see what's happening when it's happening. And then she could just like feel all the things that I'm feeling without me having to re-explain it and re-feel them all over again. It's so exhausting. All right, I need to get off of here because I don't know what this is. I don't. I really don't. Okay, bye. Love you.